Today I want to show you how I make my chef's blend. My chef blend changes all the time depending on what I have available, but it's always very similar and nobody's ever complained about the slight change. They basically just want a nice mix of microgreens. But first, let's go in the palace and see what's going on, and I'll show you a little concern too about some unwanted guests that have moved in. Here are the unwanted guests that just moved themselves in. Now, what's kind of odd is those are yellow jackets in there. And I didn't know yellow jackets built paper wasp nests like that. I thought that they were just in the ground usually. But yeah, that's a problem. When I was a kid, I had a really bad allergic reaction to what we believe was a yellow jacket sting. So I don't really like the idea of getting stung, and I'll probably try to get rid of that tonight. I'm not sure exactly how I'm gonna do it yet, but we'll get rid of it. So let's go in here and try to not have to fight with the yellow jackets and see what's gonna go in our mix. Try to make sure the coast is kind of clear. All right, we made it in. Let's kill the fans real quick. As you can see, I got some things I need to unstack. Ignore those labels, those are old. They just don't come off when I wash them. All right, where to start? Over here, we've got some arugula. We'll be putting some arugula in the mix. We got some broccoli. I've already cut up a little bit. I needed just a little bit more to finish off a container when I was making some broccoli or packaging up some. Got some red garnet amaranth. We've got some mammoth red rock cabbage. More cabbage. This is a radish that I have not been growing lately, but decided that I'd grow it again and at least put it in a mix. This is called, I guess the right way to say it is daikon, is what I've been corrected on when I say it. I've always called it daikon, but I guess it's daikon. But I don't usually grow it because it's got just a white stem. There's no real color to it, but it's supposed to be one of the most nutritious microgreen radishes you can grow. We've got some Rambo, and then we've got a bunch more arugula growing here. All arugula. You can see that my shelves are getting messy from the bottom of the trays from when I unstack. So when I get some of these trays out of here, I will be vacuuming all this up and re-sanitizing it all. Here's some China rose. Some more China rose. Broccoli. Pea shoots. This one is the amount that I would normally put in, and it's like I measure it with a 16-ounce clamshell. That's how much dry pea seed that I use. And but I was at the end of my bag, and so this was a little bit lighter. That's why you can see the difference. But they'll both do great. I guess that's all we have going on in here right now. So let me show you how I sanitize and get ready to make my mix. I was all set up to start making this video, and I really wanted to do it out here and show you everything. Not necessarily all the mess that I have laying around, but yeah, so I had like my little ladder set up with a holder. I was gonna show you exactly how I do it outside, all my sanitizing steps and everything. And my unwanted visitors are worse than I thought. Under here, so I was standing here at this bench, and I kept hearing a buzzing. And there is a freaking massive, what I call white-faced hornet, that's living in that nest. See if I can zoom in a little. And he kept buzzing around. I'm like, where the heck is that coming from? I thought that maybe they were just coming in and out of my greenhouse on that wasp nest that I just showed you, but no, apparently we've got some major bee problems this year. I know that's not a bad thing, like it's good to have bees, but I prefer like the friendly honeybees, not the white-faced hornet bees. The white, what I call the white face, I know there's a different name for them, but those ones, they'll sting you or bite you just because they can. They're kind of jerks. Or like a bumblebee or a honeybee or whatever, they don't usually bother you unless like you bother them first. So I'm gonna have to move this whole thing indoors, which means carrying trays in and out. Or maybe I can, actually, you know what? I've got another table. I'm gonna move that outside. But I want to show you why I'm not using the bench I would normally use. All right, he just came back and I want to show you. Look at that bastard. He's in his nest now. And they're buzzing me. Yeah, I'm getting out of here. Well, I moved to the other side of the Microgreens Palace so we could get this video finished and I can get some harvesting done, which I need to get done anyways. Got my kind of sad garden behind me. It's not doing that great this year, but it'll come into it. Just added some cow manure mulch to it. We'll see. So let's get sanitizing. So the first thing I like to do is I like to just spray down my work area, my bench. This is not what's on the label. This is a bottle I've been reusing. I talked about this in a previous video where I refill it with just regular Clorox bleach and water. There's about maybe four tablespoons or so of bleach in this bottle that I fill with water. Works so awesome. The bottle just continues to work. I keep refilling it and it just keeps working. So let's just hose this off. It's gonna get dirty again from the bottoms of the trays when I put them on here to harvest them. So it's not a big deal. I like to start with a clean surface. Take some paper towels. You can use washable rags, towels, whatever you want to use. I'm just gonna kind of dry it up real quick. Now we have a decently clean, sanitized workbench. I've got my scissors that I like to use. Been using these for years, they work good. You guys use knives if you want to. And I'm just gonna give those a nice spray. And then I'm gonna give all around the edges of this bucket and the bottom a nice spray in that. And the other thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to spray my hands down pretty good with it too. I know not everybody's a big fan of using bleach, especially on your skin, but I find it works really good. It's very cost effective. It doesn't bother me. My skin's fine with it. Go ahead and rinse my hands right off, right into the bucket. I'm just going to spray all the edges down. I'll just clean up the scissors really good. Right, those are nice and clean. We'll dry them up. Set our scissors aside. And I'm just going to dump this out. Give it another rinse. Just hang that up to drip for a minute. Get our bucket all nice and dry. All right, we've got a nice clean bucket. It's all been sanitized. We've got nice clean scissors and clean hands. I'll keep these paper towels around and I'll wipe my scissors periodically and also my hands as we're harvesting. You can use gloves if you want, but I'm telling you that like you're gonna see me touch my glasses now and then. Well, I'm gonna do that with gloves as well. Your gloves are gonna get dirty just like your hands would get dirty. And the other thing is that my microgreens, I don't wash them. And that's one of the reasons why I'm pretty careful about being sanitary. But it says right on the label to wash before eating, or I say wash and enjoy. And nobody does. I don't know if anybody's ever washed my microgreens. I know that the chefs don't, and I know that people that buy them haven't been either. So I'm trying to be careful to make sure that they're nice and clean. It's kind of like when you go to the store and you buy a fresh package of herbs and nobody really pays attention, but it says on the package to wash before use. I don't think too many people are washing their rosemary and thyme and such before they actually use it. I personally never have, probably should, but never have, never had a problem with it. So enough of that rant. Let's get that daikon radish out here first, or daikon radish, and we'll throw that in. Get started. I made it out alive. I did get buzzed by a bee, but survived it. Now this is a really nice tray. This tray is probably pushing close to a pound, at least 14 ounces here. Now what I'm gonna do before I even get started is I'm just gonna try to get some of the seed hulls off just by rubbing my hand over it. It's not that bad. There'll be more will come out when they get tossed in the bucket. But what I really look for is any of the seeds that got picked up that kind of clumped together and sprouted, but they didn't grow in the soil and they kind of stuck to them. I pulled off one piece like that, but that was it. Nobody wants to find that in their microgreens when they buy them. So let's get started harvesting these. It doesn't take long. Just quick snips, toss in the bucket. It's a really nice clean grow, so I don't have to worry about trying to pick out pieces that aren't that good. That will happen to you if you're especially a beginner, but it still happens to me sometimes when some of the undergrowth of the microgreens just didn't grow that well. And what I do when I get to that, and I've shown this in the past, but I'll take it, I'll kind of just rub my fingers under each clump and try to get all the pieces that just didn't grow very well to come out, because I don't want those in my mix. I'm a little bit slower harvester than some people, but that's partly because I'm pretty particular about what I put in my mix. I want only the highest quality. I don't want any garbage in there. Nothing that turns people off. One thing that's really important to keep in mind if you're a business person of any sort is that a customer's first impression of your product, it's everything. So if somebody bought your microgreens for the first time and they found that it had like some seeds in there that were kind of like sprouted and looking kind of hairy like, and a bunch of like small stuff that they wouldn't want in there, that might be the last time they buy them. It might be the first time they bought them, and it'll probably be the last time, because they're going to be like, I didn't like that, the quality wasn't very good. not doing that again. It could have been you only made that mistake once, and normally you're perfect with your stuff, but that one day you slacked and you didn't make a good product. Well, you might have lost a customer for life on that one move right there. So you can see that didn't take long. There's one tray harvested. I managed to ramble through the whole tray. I think that's pretty good. That means I did it pretty quick. Here's our bowl of daikon radish. Let's find something else to throw in there. Now here's a tray of China rose. And I wanted to be able to show you, hopefully you can see this okay, an example of like a clump that I don't want in there. So like that. So if you see something like that in there, I try to get that out of there. It's easier if you can just brush them right off like I've been doing. And yeah, that's basically what you don't want in your mix. Or even if it's not a mix, just you don't want it in general. So you can see I've got myself a little citronella candle now too. Today is the day of bees and mosquitoes and black flies and insects in general for some reason. I don't like wearing any sort of bug spray when I'm harvesting microgreens. I don't want that on my crop. And so at this time of night, it's getting to be 6:40. They're really coming out strong. It's pretty cloudy. And this looks great. Another nice crop. So let's get this China rose radish all harvested. Whenever I make a mix, it's always going to be heavy on the radish. The reason for that is radish has a ton of flavor. The China rose has a ton of color, and it has a ton of weight to it. So if you're trying to make a mix and you're using only really fine microgreens like broccoli, arugula, throwing some color in there with like amaranth and beets or whatever you want to use, it's going to take a ton to get a whole lot out of that. It's not going to be worth it. I find that the way to really be profitable is to throw in a lot of radish. People seem to really like it, and so I keep doing it. And it's kind of interesting that at the stores, people will not buy the radish and they want the mix, even though there's a ton of radish in the mix. I don't know what it is. Maybe the mix looks more prepared and they just use it as is and they feel like they're getting everything they want out of it that way. Whatever the reason, I'm happy to make a mix. And see, we've almost got this tray all done. Anytime I get any sort of the soil on my hands, I quickly wipe that off. Try to be careful about that, but it is just cocoa coir. This is not soil, so it's not like it's bad. It should be clean. Now when I make my mixes, I like to start with my heaviest microgreens first, and I just kind of like layer them in there. And then I will do a final wash of my hands and then mix it all up. I feel like by putting the heavy ones in first, I'm less likely to damage the light ones when I put them in. It could just be a mental thing, but that's what I like to do. I think it's also hard to grab some of the small, finer microgreens if they're on the bottom and get those to kind of pull up. But if you start with them on the top, it's easier to just kind of mix it all in. Give my scissors a nice wipe. Set this tray aside. I made a bit of a mess with these microgreens, so Some of these that look pretty good, we'll just eat them. Wow. This batch of China Rose, it's got some serious kick to it. That tastes a lot like I just took a fresh radish right out of the ground and bit into it. That's amazing. Really like that. All right, let's grab some broccoli. So we got a nice tray of broccoli here. This is what we have so far. It's looking good. That radish, the daikon, and the China Rose was a little bit damp. So some of these, I'll package them in a clamshell, and I'll end up putting them in my refrigerator. I have a special refrigerator just for my microgreens, with the lids open, and that will help pull some of the moisture out. Ideally, you want to harvest them when they're totally dry, but that's not always the case. And I'm still getting eaten alive by mosquitoes. This candle's not doing anything. So let's get this broccoli all harvested, tossed in there. Like I said before, I know a ton of you really hate using a knife. I mean, using scissors, and think I should be using a knife. Do what works for you. I like the scissors. I've tried a knife, and for me it didn't work out. But I didn't really give it much of a shot either. I don't think you can see it on the camera because my camera's too high. But I've got those 2 empty trays on the ground over here next to me. And my chickens are already over here checking it out. Let's hope they just stay down there and don't come up here and try to steal my mix. This is a great tray of broccoli. Really nice. Super clean. Nice long stems. No mold issues of any sort. It's one of the reasons I've really been liking the cocoa core, is it's a nice clean harvest. I haven't really had any mold issues with it at all. You might be able to tell also that I may be harvesting a little bit quicker than what I've done in my previous videos, and that's because it's all really good. I haven't had any issues with it. Usually you have to, not usually, but sometimes, you know, you get stuff like I mentioned earlier, it just doesn't look that great. You don't want to throw it in there. All right, what should we put in there next? We've got daikon radish, China Rose, broccoli. We should do arugula. Arugula is by far one of my favorite flavored microgreens. You don't get a ton of yield off one tray. You're probably only going to get, I don't know, maybe 8 ounces to a tray. This tray right here is probably 6 ounces, but it tastes great. And people are starting to really love it. I don't think they realized how good microgreen arugula was, so now they're figuring that out and they want it. And again, just like the other trays, this tray is perfect. There's no issues with it. I should be able to fly right along and harvest this quickly. One thing you will see with arugula sometimes is the seeds really like to stick to it. It's kind of a sticky plant. When that happens, I just pretty much throw them in. I don't worry about it. There's nothing you can really do about it. This particular tray has been growing long enough where a lot of those seed hulls came off, and I think it stayed damp enough where it just never became an issue. You'll see that occasionally, as I'm harvesting, I'm accidentally pulling up some by the roots. You just want to be careful and look out for that. And make sure you cut those off. You don't want to be putting roots and grow medium in your mix. Love the smell of arugula when you're harvesting it. Such a nice peppery flavor, or peppery smell. Gotta have a little for me. It's good stuff. Definitely one of my favorites. See our bin here is getting pretty full. So next, I don't know if that mammoth red rock's quite ready. Usually I would put the cabbage in here. Let me take a quick peek. So next we will do amaranth, red garnet amaranth. This is what makes the mix really pop. If you're looking for microgreen seeds, kits, supplies, anything you need, or anything you need for seeds for your garden, check out True Leaf Market. It's an awesome place that I've been shopping for my seeds since I started my microgreens business 3 to 4 years ago. I have links in the description that will bring you straight to the microgreen seed selection, and you can check it out, and if you want something and you purchase it, I will earn a small commission at no cost to you at all. I really appreciate it if you use my link. It helps keep me motivated to share what I have learned on my journey growing microgreens and selling them. And I'll keep making new videos. You guys keep watching them. You keep using my links. And also in the description, you'll find links to the clamshells I use. They are 16-ounce Gen Pack clamshells. I get them on Amazon. And 16 fluid ounce containers are perfect for 2 ounces of microgreens. It doesn't matter if it's a pea shoot, sunflower shoot, mix, radish, anything. You'll be able to put 2 ounces of them perfectly in a 16-ounce clamshell. Let's get back to our mix. Okay, so here we have some amaranth. It's a little bit on the small side. It kind of stunted with its growth. I didn't really give this much nutrients. It's just on coco coir. I think I gave it nutrients once when I watered it, and it really wasn't enough. But that's fine, because when you put amaranth in a mix, it's really to just make that color pop. So as you can see right now, it's mostly green. Of course, on the top right now is just the amaranth, is just the arugula, and some broccoli underneath. So you can't really see the radish under there. That's got some nice pink and purple color. But once you add this red garnet amaranth in there, it will all just kind of really pop in the package. And that's what really, it doesn't add a whole lot to the mix other than how it helps it look. Being short like this does make it a little bit more challenging to harvest, but it's not bad. Nice thing is I've got a nice perfect tray here. There's no issues with it. There's no dampen off or nothing like that. If you want to know how to grow amaranth that doesn't have any issues, I have a video specifically on doing that. Just search how to grow amaranth microgreens and be profitable, I think is how I named it. Made that video about maybe even 2 years ago. And everything I say in that video still stands true today. Give you a quick rundown on basically what's in that video is seed very lightly. Use less than a tablespoon of seed. I use probably 3/4 of a tablespoon. Make sure it's spread very even. Do not have any clumps. Any clumps at all can lead to dampen off. Plant on really damp medium. Cover with a upside down tray as a humidity dome. Allow them to sprout to the height that you want them to be. And then put straight under light. And only water when they're starting to get dry. Amaranth does really well as it's dry. Even amaranth that has kind of fallen over because you were too late to water it, it will come right back when you water it. It's not a big concern. Too much water will cause an issue, and you'll get dampen off. lately for retail, which is all I've been doing lately because restaurants haven't been buying, I have only been growing amaranth for putting it in the mix. It does sell. I have had it sell retail just off the shelf, just amaranth. But you get such a little amount per tray that it's kind of not worth it to me. I mean, it could be. I've made a video not that long ago about grow what sells or something like that. And amaranth was the topic because it was selling. But overall, it's just not really worth it for me to package it up individually to sell at retail. I have to grow so much of it that the mix is actually by far my best seller. So why put a ton of effort into amaranth as it is? Like I said, I'm gonna sanitize my hands one more time before I dig into the microgreens there. I just feel better about it. And now we mix. I really could use a bigger bin. I struggle a little bit to keep the microgreens from falling out. Typically, I only need as much as what holds in this bin, but it wouldn't hurt to use a bigger bin. It'd be a little bit easier to mix it, I think. So I'm really just trying to make sure that all the amaranth gets spread around evenly. That's kind of the other great thing about using that color in there, is that you can tell when you're done mixing when the amaranth is evenly spread throughout the whole thing. You can see it made a little bit of a mess, but it's not that bad. And that's what you get. That is a beautiful microgreens mix. So let me get this in at least one clamshell so you can just see what it's going to look like when it's packaged. I don't plan on recording the whole packaging process on this, but I want to get one clamshell just to show you. Zeroing out my scale. I don't really have to because I know what they weigh. These are 0.7 ounces. I don't know if you can see that in the camera or not, but and also I've got it pretty much down on packaging this. I almost don't even need the scale because I grab a handful, I throw it in. That's a little bit too much. Kind of work it around so it's gonna fit in there nicely. Like I said, these are a little bit damp. They do need to dry up a little bit. And 2.8 ounces, so still too much. Take a little bit more out. And then whatever this ends up being is what it is. I'm not that picky. I don't mind giving people extra. I know it's going to be on the heavy side. 2.4 ounces. So marketed and sold as 2 ounces, but you're going to get 2.4 in this case. That's what you get. Not bad, huh? And you can see, I'll get probably close to 20 of these packages out of this mix. I will sell them retail for $4 each. So this will be worth $80. And the retailer will mark them up to $6, and so they'll make their cut. I don't make as much on the retail sales as I do when I do restaurant sales, but the big difference is the retail will take all 20 packages and pay me right up front, where a restaurant's gonna want like 4 packages a week for small ones. And so I have to drive and make a special delivery just for them. We're a retailer. I just bring it to them and they pay me and we're good. So if I wasn't making a video, it wouldn't have taken as long. I just gotta finish packaging that up and I'll be done. Like I said, there's links in the description if you want to get that clamshell, if you want to find seeds and everything, just check it out. Hopefully you can find what you need to find. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this.